Hello. Camera, how do you put?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Tanya.
Great, thanks.
Hello.
Has Nikabet joined so that we can start? Oh, yes, let me enable. I've seen him.
Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys, I think we can start now. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for being here. For the viewers, you're in listen mode. So if you want to speak or say anything, you'll have to raise your hand. Thank you for coming for this webinar today on demystifying data analytics. I know you've been looking forward to learning from seasoned people in the field, and you can ask all the questions that you want after the session. So we're looking forward to hearing insights from them, and I hope that you get to learn a thing or two about their journey and their experiences and how they got into the field. So I guess we'll start now. Vinny, the floor is yours.
Oh, hi everyone. Hope I am very, very audible. If I'm not, please let me know. It's a cold Friday, cold warm, I guess. And I hope we'll be able to make everybody in the call a bit warmer. And so the theme today is about, the theme, as the post had said, is demystifying the data analytics journey. There's a lot that has been said about data analytics and everything about it. From some are true, some are false, some are just meant to make you feel worried. And I hope by the end of this conversation we are having with three amazing people, you shall at least be somewhere. At least you shall be somewhere. And to begin with, I would like Dennis, Tanya, and Nikabed to introduce themselves. Those will be our amazing panelists. And you can introduce yourself by saying your name, what you do, and yes, your name, your profession, and where you work at in less than a minute. We can start with you, Tanya.
Hello. Hi, everyone. As I said, my name is Tanya Akum, and I am a research engineer at IBM Research Africa. My background is mostly in IoT, machine learning, deep learning, and a little bit of data analysis. Yeah, I think that's what I can say.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Nikabed.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nikabed. Yeah, I'm Nikabed Gaddafa from Nairobi, Kenya. Ground is in electrical and electronics. Career-wise, an AI engineer, specializing in deployment, that is inferencing at SGAD. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And lastly, Dennis.
Hello, my name is Derek Kuria. I am an IT application developer at Dimension Data, mostly dealing with data analytics, creation of dashboards, and a bit of doing ML stuff. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to everyone. And to start with you, Dennis, how did you enter the space? How did you land into data analytics?
So it started when I was in university. So I enrolled for statistics and programming bachelor's mid last decade. Yeah, and after that, in my journey during uni, I just wanted to know how I'd be able to apply what I was studying. So at around 2017, 2018, that's when I discovered like data science. It wasn't a lot of gray areas. It wasn't as much demystified as now. But I think what stood out was was the Harvard Review article, which I think everyone in the data spectrum knows about the thing about data science, about being the sexiest career or something. Yeah, so it really caught my eye, and I just wanted to know like what it's about. And since it had a statistic background, so I started researching on it. So once I completed my bachelor's, I enrolled on to a boot camp by Moringa School. So that was around 2020, beginning of 2020. And so, yeah, after I did the data science, I was in cohort 3. After I graduated, that's when now I got my interview. Actually, I got my interview before my last project, capstone project. And so after 2 weeks, I joined, after completing my my course at Moringa, I joined Dimension Data, where I have been there for the past 3 years, 4 years now, turning in the beginning of September. So yeah, that has been my journey from the inception of knowing about data to until where I am right now. Thank you. I hope was audible.
Yes, you are. Vinny, are you there? Derek and Nick, can you enable your videos? We'd like to see you. The one who can't see Vinny, Derek, and Nick. I'm only seeing Tanya.
I think in the meantime, Tanya can also give us her story.
Sure. Yeah, so my journey into data and AI started, I guess, as when I was in from my IoT background, I was an electronics engineer for a firm that developed pay-go solar home systems. And as we were developing some of these systems, some of these IoT systems, we ended up needing to do work in remote monitoring and predictive maintenance. So I helped in developing data collection platforms for these IoT systems. And in that process, like, just understanding what kind of data to collect and which one would be important for remote monitoring and help us to do maintenance in a predictive way. That's when I was able to really see that actually the part of the data is what I actually like. So I shifted to data from that. And then also that time, 2019 was also like data science is like the sexiest jobs of the century and all that. So, and I was at a point where I was feeling a bit bored with the electronics work. So I decided to do a master's in electrical and computer engineering at Carnegie Mellon, and I specialize in applied machine learning. So through the master's program, I was able to learn and implement machine learning architectures for different applications like in energy and health. So that really got my foot into the space. And then afterwards, after finishing my master's, I got to interview for IBM Research Africa, and now was able to now join into now diving more into AI research and creating or optimizing algorithms that are being used in AI systems. Hello? I'm not sure if it's...
Are you there?
Okay.
Okay, guys, let me just take it over here because I don't know, Benice can't hear anything. Anyway, let's start with you, Derek. Tell us, you've already told us about your journey and how you got started. And a lot of people right now are wondering what they want to get into the field. What are those skills that they should be keen on? Especially for a data analyst like you, Derek.
Yeah. So what you should be keen on is just first of all, I'll speak about what I think helps me to get where I am, and I think a background in statistics is important, but
Hi guys, can you hear me now?
vital. Yes, Vincent, you're clear.
Okay.
You can hear us, Vincent?
Yes, I can now hear you. Sorry. I think there was power breakdown where I am. Sorry. So we were at Tanya. I was asking you, was your journey similar to Dennis's, where maybe you did a background in a subject area that was related to data analytics? Or how special is your journey, your entry to data analytics?
I actually just talked about it.
Okay.
Just sharing that, I went the master's route. So from the master's, I was able to upskill myself on data analytics.
What about you, Nikabed? Your entry to intelligence, and did you enter AI through data analytics, or was it the other way around? Artificial intelligence, then data analytics?
Yeah, I think I have a very, how do we put it, a very different route as opposed to my fellow panelists. As for me, since I have a background in electrical and electronics, was trying to develop a robotics, actually an autonomous vehicle. And from that, I was like, this aspect we call human-computer interaction, human-computer interaction, how interactive is the system that you're designing, so all this mixtures was like, I need something intelligent, also robotics, it's an operating system on its own that, you could develop and it can operate on its own, but there's some aspect of intelligence that you need. And that's when I came into AI. So for data analytics, that's back in 2021 when I was doing my, it's like a certificate, professional just course you take in behavioral biology. So I was trying to understand some bits of genetics. So this is like bioinformatics and the likes. So, and this is how I came into analytics, trying to understand things like DNA, how is it, you know, the whole sampling aspect of it. Yeah, so that's like my background into analytics. So I'm more of AI than analytics, but analytics is good so far. Yeah.
Nick, a bit on you also. You mentioned about robotics, having AI and data blend. Would you mind giving us in less than a minute how your typical day is like as an AI stroke data analytics professional? How your typical day would look like, maybe from morning to evening?
Yeah. So as for now, I'm more focusing on business aspects of our farm. Yeah. So it's just more business costs. But typically, I used to wake up in the morning, you know, try to gear up some GPUs and try to see if what kind of model is it that we could run on it. Yeah, so let's for instance say there's somebody who needs a credit scoring aspect of it. Yeah, so what accuracies could we reach at? Yeah, so this is like where you try to understand, you know, deploying it in maybe a server, how will you deploy it as an API, you know, all those, how can it be integrated to a mobile app? Yeah, so such simple things, but they kind of take a lot of time for you. But yeah, those are the aspects which you are for my, yeah.
And Dennis, Nikabed says he's more of deploying simple projects onto servers. How is it like for you, Dennis?
You mean a day to day?
Simple is your work.
A day to day?
Yes.
Yeah. So what we deal with day to day is we have like projects that we are given. So there are two teams that where I work. They are client facing, those who deal with projects for clients, and then there is internal that deal with projects now that are needed by different stakeholders in the company. So I mostly deal with internal. So we have projects where we listen to the stakeholders from different departments, tell us what they need. So, and they give us guidelines of what they'd like to see, and of course, project timelines. And after that, now we work on them. So a day to day will be probably reaching out to different stakeholders, getting just clarifications, and then maybe having a presentation to show what we've come up with, and getting their feedback, implementing their feedback. And that is the process that goes into creating the different dashboards and probably notebooks that will be needed for them. And then now we showcase the output, and then we deploy and give access to them. Yeah. Don't know if I was audible.
Vincent, I can't hear you for some reason. Is it just me? I'm not able to hear.
Thank you, Vincent.
Also me.
What, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you can.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So Tanya, I was saying, how is your typical day like in a minute?
Okay, so like I said, my work really involves a lot of research, but it's like engineering for research. So we usually have clients that we've partnered with, or we are collaborating on specific research. And an example of that project is one that we are working with Madiba Research Hub, which is a research hub that does its research in multi-comorbidity in Africa. So my role for that typically involves using the data set that they provided, and doing analysis on that using some of the tools that we have. We have some open source tools on that can find patterns, anomalous patterns in tabular data. So we kind of help them just to be able to understand their data well. I also implement machine learning models for them to help in the prediction of lifestyle diseases like diabetes, kidney disease, or even just trying to predict for a specific individual what they are, like what factors are important in the predicting of that or rather makes them at risk of contracting a disease, and which features is the model thinking that it's important for a specific individual. So it could be, actually people that are obese or are more at risk, or trying to explain how these machine learning models make decisions. I also write papers, so I have to write papers and present at conferences. So that also forms like another part of my day where I do research, literature review, present the results, and talk to share the results, knowledge sharing with the technical community.
Thank you so much, Tanya. And before you became all these research analyst stroke engineer stroke AI person stroke data, what was the most challenging thing, or what was the most difficult hurdle you ever faced when you're starting or when you are entering the data analytics journey, and maybe how are you able to overcome it?
Right. So like I said, my background is actually in electronics. I was an electronics hardware engineer. So there was very minimal programming in that work. It was mostly designing circuits and, understanding power flows. So shifting to data, I had to now adopt programming, and that wasn't my strongest suit before. So I really had to double down on learning how to program, and programming specifically for data and for analytics. So that was quite a challenge, but in terms of how I was able to overcome it was thankfully the master's degree I did had like a crash course of programming, where they now teach you they literally take you from beginner to intermediate, or in like 4 months. So like you take one course, and by the end of the course you should be comfortable with programming. So that really helped. I also did some certifications outside. I think there's the IBM data science certification, just to be able to understand how, on an overview of how the data analytics and data science process is usually done. And then now going now with that understanding of the overview, what I'm expected to learn, what I need to focus on, and also just doing, working on projects. You learn better by doing. So the more you do the projects, the more you are able to hone your skills and understand, improve your skills, and through that you're able to become more and more of an expert.
Derek and Nikabed, maybe you can add also. Tanya tells us that for you to be perfect, or how she was able to overcome the hurdle, especially coming from a background that's not statistical or programming, it's practicing, learning, and having the intent. Do you agree with her, or maybe what are your inputs? We can start with you, Nikabed.
Yeah. So I think we have the same background, although mine was more of electrical. So a lot of my background, it has a lot of calculations. Yeah, the only hurdle I had on my side was more on the trying to understand the difference between AI and data science. And I and I won't lie, like I think that was 2019 when I was trying like to grasp the both aspects. This machine learning, data science, and this machine learning, the aspect of AI, right? So when I was applying for a scholarship to, I don't recall this school, but it's in New York. It's like a accelerator. Yeah, it's like a bootcamp accelerator that you go learn for like 6 months, and then whatever you've created can be taken as a startup. Yeah. So on that, I was like look into some things, and they're like, wait, the statistics. I mean, for me, statistics, it's just that one unit that you touch in Campo, and that's it. And this was like requiring you to be, that deep aspect of statistics. And I was like, so this is data science, and this is AI. So for me, I went on inquiring from people, from friends, and I actually had to, whether LinkedIn sometimes help. You just go and cold mail somebody and ask, so what is this? What is this? Yeah, that's what I did on my end. And yeah, as she has said, if you actually people from engineering aspect that there's no programming, it's so hard. For me, I was doing it before that. I did some cybersecurity aspects, so programming was so much easier for me. Shifting into AI. So yeah, that's my journey.
And before I bring Derek on, Tanya, Nikabed says the challenge he had was knowing the difference between artificial intelligence and data science. And I think he mentioned about there being AI machine learning and machine learning for data science. Is that, do you mind maybe explaining further what's the difference between the two fields? Data analytics, data science, machine learning, data engineering, how do they gel into each other? And all of them really require data? And can you be a master of everything?
Well, that's an interesting question, and there's usually a lot of overlap between all these concepts. Especially for me, in my opinion, I would say that all of that encompasses AI, because basically what AI is like the ability of computers to be able to mimic problem solving and decision making of the human mind. So
Yes.
As we humans, we receive data, we try to find patterns in the data. So that can be an aspect of data analysis, trying to get insights from the data. Data engineering is, trying to arrange this data in a way that the processing itself is done in an efficient way, using tools that are able to do that for large volumes of data. And then we have machine learning, which is also like it's still trying to trying to learn from the patterns, and
Yes.
trying to it can either be predictive, or you're just still the aspect of finding patterns in the data and using those patterns to now inform actions
Yes.
on that. So I would say AI is like the umbrella, and then under the umbrella, there's the machine learning, which now learns from historical data. There's the data science, which now it doesn't, yes, there's the historical data, but then, it's derived mostly by like both machine learning and human agents that perform the analysis and all that. So I think that's how I would demystify those things.
Thank you so much. And Derek, before you tell us your challenge, is it possible for one to jump from data analytics beginner to being an AI in a Spark, or how long does it really take? And would you advise one to enter from AI, from data analytics, now that it's an umbrella, or will it, if you just join in blindly, it will rain on you? What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, interesting question. So I would say most people, and the pattern that I've seen mostly happening is most people start with data analytics, just visualizing data, being able to understand the data from a perspective of creating charts and what have you. And then now from that, now you want to go to the predictive level, where now you interact with machine learning algorithms, and sometimes people take the route of even going to deep learning, and now once you receive in all those steps, you are getting data. So you'd like to go a step back and know where this data comes from. So Other people now go to the data engineering aspect, where now you are getting data from different, sources, creating the pipelines, ETL and stuff, so that you can be able to, program now that data to become in the aspect that you'd like. I believe it's a step-to-step level, though you can accelerate it, maybe through a boot camp, maybe through self-learning, where you are solemnly concentrating on learning. It's achievable, and so I think that would be my answer. If you're starting, at least start with the basics, and then build on the basics as you go forward, and as you continue to build on. But I believe the data science is quite wide. It's a science, so you can't like demystify like everything that is in a science, but I believe you can get your own niche where you're able like to overcome. And if you feel you want to propel even high in your career, now that's when you need to build up and get those skills that you require as you go higher. Yeah.
Amazing. And maybe in a minute, Derek, what is there any challenge that's different from what Tanya and Anika have shared that you really experienced when you're starting?
So I think my challenges were different. I had a statistical background, so that was not an issue. But I think my biggest problem was, translating what we get from lectures into actual data science stuff. We sometimes, and sorry to say this, probably there's someone who is in academia or something, but sometimes we learn so that we can pass exams, and so we just take in information. Like time series was a big issue for me. Just coming to realize later that it's actually achievable, using programming and data science stuff. So I think my issue was, or my problem, what I faced was trying to actualize what we learned in the lectures into the real world. And with time, I was able to understand and to make sense out of it. And it's going well. Still a journey, but yeah, I believe I've been able to grasp as I go forward. Yeah.
Thank you. Tanya, Derek says it's this journey of data analytics, meaning that it's something that is continuously, it doesn't have an end per se. And he's also mentioned about translating academic theory or translating what you learn in school to putting it in practice. There's those of us, or there are those of the data analytics professionals who have not gone through academia, but maybe have taken the online classes, your typical YouTube videos with Indians. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and they tell you become a data analyst within 24 hours. How can such a person who has done maybe a certification on Udemy be able to, or anyone in academia, how can you be able to interpret that theoretical knowledge that you're learning in class to applying it in practice? And how does this journey of data analytics have an end? Or at what point can you say, now I'm an expert, and whatever problem you bring to me, I'm able to solve? And we can have Tanya respond to that, and then we have Derek and Nikabed also maybe give us your views. Go ahead, Tanya.
Yeah, thanks. That's actually a very good question. And as we've all experienced before, there's really no end to learning. Like, this is a very fast growing field. There's many tools that are coming out, many methods that are always being released in terms of how we can do our work better. I mean, just look at how ChatGPT has come, and it's changed the whole space. And now you have to learn about foundation models and what they are and how we can use them to apply them to data science. So you see, it's always a continuous learning effort. In terms of how you can be able to connect between the theory, academia, what you're learning, and the real world application, I would say one, the major thing that really helped me and others that I know is learning by doing. So not really just leaving it at the classroom or leaving it, okay, now I have a certification, I can be able to put on my LinkedIn that, oh, I have this certification, but what can you show for it? Do you have a portfolio? Building your portfolio, there's many projects that that are out there that you can work on to now apply the skills that you've learned in real world applications. There are many open source data sets that you can work on, and you don't really need, like, a lot of open source tools are out there for you to now utilize and apply the theory to now real world projects. There's another thing that also helped was these competitions. I think Zindi has a lot of competitions that you can join just for learning, or if you want to earn some extra cash, you can also apply that. These hackathons that are being organized. I think a few months ago there was the women in machine learning, women in data Africa actually organized a hackathon, and they gave data and they give you a starter notebook to be able to see how the process does, and then now you do your research and write the code to provide the best performing model, if it's a machine learning model, or create insights for that. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, and it depends on the drive of the person who's learning.
Yes.
So if you're passionate about it, like, you will seek out opportunities to learn by doing. So do as much as possible. Have your GitHub full of all these projects you can do, and even just sharing. I've also found that knowledge sharing really helps. I mean, we usually have like the Python Summit, the PyCon Kenya, where people share the projects that they've worked with. And the thing about talking about what you've worked with, from like the problem formulation to how you solve the problem, which tools did you use, why did you use them, the thing about that is that it helps reinforce what you already know. You end up understanding even better than just doing it. Okay, the GitHub is there. It's not just about copying code from Stack Overflow, or now that people are using ChatGPT for coding, but understanding what you're doing and explaining that to other people, especially people who are not from a technical background. These are skills that we, as people who work in data, who generate insights from data, need to have. You need to talk to a CEO and recommend that, actually, for this, we should not give credit to these customers. Why? Which tools do you use? Why did you use those tools? Being able to really understand the technical space, the technical work that you've done, and then now explaining that to someone who's non-technical, or even a technical community, it really helps to build your understanding and also your skills.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Nikabed, any addition to what Tanya told us?
Yeah. I think she has covered all of it. Technical communities, attend summits, and ask questions. Yeah, that's all. It's actually, for me, I find it. You find people with the same skills and others who are above you, and you can be able to teach each other and can learn more. Yeah.
Awesome. And Derek, what do you think?
I believe the speakers who have spoken before have explained it very well. Yeah, it's all about using community, and of course being able to practice as you learn. Yeah.
Awesome. And still on you, Derek. Remember, we are demystifying the journey of data analytics, and as they say, there are so many ways of killing a rat. The same way, there are so many ways, or there are so many tools that you can use to maybe even analyze data and come up with an insight. The Tableau, Excel of this world. Can you be a master of everything? Because I think the challenge most beginners face is trying to learn everything. You're learning Excel here, Python there, R there, Tableau at the back, and they find themselves, they want to be a master of everything. Is that the way to go, or what would you advocate for?
Okay, thanks for that question. So I would say in the data space, I think we have there are two base sort of technologies that at least you need to understand fully, which I will say Excel and SQL. Those are the ones that you need to grasp as much as possible because they build up on a lot of stuff. So for Excel, of course, Power BI is quite similar in a lot of ways with Excel, which you can use and goes for any other BI tool actually. I would say build up on Excel and SQL, and then now SQL helps with creating queries, being able to get your data and slice and dice your data to your liking. But now when it comes now to where we have other tools where where it's sort of like a competition, like Python versus R. We've had those conversations. We've had Tableau versus Power BI. I believe when someone asks me whether they should learn, for example, Python or R, my answer is usually yes. Just learn. Just learn one of them. Of course, there's a high liking of Python for especially people who are development based, and R for people who are in academia, as it said, sort of. But I believe you should learn one, build up on it. The good thing is that there are opportunities for all, and of course, having an idea about the other is not bad, since if you are able to be asked to perform for a client a different, maybe a task that they want in a specific platform, you'll use that. But I would believe what you think is worth learning is what you should, stick to, perfect it, because there are opportunities for all these sort of competing technologies. So I believe, and do it step by step. Don't go to R, then you're still learning Python, you're on Tableau, you're on Power BI. You'll find that you have a basic of everything, which is not, required and might not help you as much. But just if you're able to concentrate with two, maybe a BI tool and probably a programming tool, that will be good, so that you can be able to build up. Of course, remembering that Excel and SQL is a must. Yeah. That's my answer.
And before I bring Tanya on, Derek, still on you, would you try some time period for one to be proficient, or how long does it take for you at least to have some working experience to apply for a job, whether it's BI or the programming tools?
People are different. There's some who grasp things faster. There's some who grasp slower. There are people who take notes. So it's quite relative, but I would say on a normal case-to-case sort of thing, I will give at least, if you're able to do learning for about just 6 months to 1 year, especially for 2 or 3 tools. But of course, that will like help you to be in now the conversation of trying to use your skills to get a job. But of course, learning is continuous, but you need to get and understand the basics, and I believe sometimes even it goes up to 1 year or a year and some months. So it's not as direct as one would want it to be, doing one course, finishing in 2 weeks, and bragging all over, because we've done that before as we were starting, especially when we were in uni. We find a good Excel video and you're able to grasp some few things, and you think you have the understanding of everything, but as you go forward, you realize you need to understand the basics even better, so that you can be able to use them, because the more you don't understand basics, the more you have problem at work, since you have to go back, research, Google, ChatGPT stuff, and that also takes a lot of time. So that's what I would say.
Oh, awesome. And Tanya, Derek says you have to Google research and check on ChatGPT. Does it mean for me to, like, even for apply for a job, I have to know everything? Am I allowed to Google? Am I allowed to ask around? Or do I have to be a master and know everything from A to Z, and then now I'm able to pull a stunt or something?
Well, first, if there's anyone who's a master of anything, please teach me your ways. It's very difficult to know
Yes.
everything, not and even when we're interviewing people for a job, we're not looking for someone who knows everything. What we are looking for, or rather what most recruiters look for, is someone who can has analytical skills. They're able to solve problems. You have a problem and you're able to first understand what the problem is, understand how to solve it, do the action of solving the problem, explaining it to stakeholders, and generate actions from it. So these are things that you're able to learn as you're doing. You can still be able to show that, okay, yes, I don't have 5 years of experience, but if you give me a case study, I can be able to walk you through how I would approach solving that problem. And tools like Google, Stack Overflow, ChatGPT, they're there as our assistants for us to be able to dive deeper into understanding something, instead of you using all that time to like search for information. ChatGPT already gives you that information at one, and you can have a conversation with it to either go deeper into trying to understand a concept, and then from that you can build now on what more practical skills you may have. So it's not just about, again, it's not copy pasting. It's you trying to dive deeper, understanding a specific concept that maybe you might be having trouble
Yes.
in implementing it in your work. Even the code, and also like GPT, when it's giving you code, most of the time it's not correct. You have to go through it. You have to understand what it's trying to do, and then now you tell it, by the code you're giving me is not doing what I'm telling you to do. So and then it will be like, oh, you're right. I apologize for the something, and then so you see, you need to be able to know
Yes.
first what you're asking ChatGPT. When you're interacting with it, the output that it's giving, is it the correct one? And for you to be
Yes.
able to know the correct one, you need to be able to you need to have those skills to be able to say, okay, from my experience, this is not what this code should be doing, or this is what
Yes.
this code should be doing.
Oh.
So at the end of the day, it's basically you yourself, and you building your skill, but using these other things as tools and not as a replacement for your work.
So in a nutshell, you're saying, well, it's good to research, but you need to have foundational, at least knowledge on data and everything, so that you even know how to ask and what to ask, and
Yes.
whether the
Yeah,
response you're getting is right?
exactly.
Amazing. And Nikabed, to bring you on, you are the guy in the AI space, and Tanya has said about having foundational models and ChatGPT. Do you think, and there's been quite a lot of advancement with ChatGPT and AI, and there's a lot of rumor going around that soon we shall be having a robot storytelling, and I think this is also a lot seen in the visualization space, where now they are dashboarding. There's a lot of automation. Do you think AI will completely do away with us data professionals? Is it time for us maybe to look for something else to do? Would you advise me to go to my local village and vie for an MCS seat, or is there hope for us in the data space? Nikabed.
Wow, okay. So, well, first things first, I will say this, and I remember when I was, trying to learn AI, because my specialization is human, human interaction aspect of it, yeah, human designing
Yes.
aspect of it. So,
Yes.
there's this, we were saying that the only safe job in the future will be of hairdressers and
Mhm.
barbers. Reason
Ah.
being is because an AI won't be that precise as a human hand, or rather the robotic aspect of it won't be that precise. So people may not prefer and that to shave them or to hairdress them. But at the end of it, it can still do that, and you'll be able to shave. But the precision aspect of the human hand, or that aspect of humanity, it won't have. Anyways, back to the question.
Yes.
I won't, I won't, I don't wanna like throw it outside there by that, like your guys start doing something else. I think the CEO of I don't know if it's Anthropic AI or something like that. He said that in 5 years, there won't be need for coders. Well, to some extent, it's as a yes, but it's a very big no from my opinions as a profession. Why? This is something you're calling generative AI.
Yes.
Yeah, and its aspect is to generate data. So it doesn't understand what data is generating. So if
Yes.
we were to tell it to generate a certain aspect of, let's say, design a website for me, it won't get that, that aspect we say. Like I remember this I just entered a web designing is it designing, yeah, web development, yeah, and you're saying like it takes 10 seconds for a user to interact with your websites, and AI won't be able to capture that. Yes, it will understand, I can do this, but that aspect as a human that you're able to protell this thing, it won't. So good thing is your future is safe. There won't be need for you to vie for MCA, or try to shift to any other career. For me, I would say that just understand this: AI is there to enhance our abilities, whether as a programmer, as a product manager, or any aspect you. But in future, that will be a possibility that the whatever jobs we think we have right now will be extinct. Yeah, that will be my take. Yeah.
Wow. You made it. But yeah, I think, and Tanya, Nikabet tells us we have to adjust or we have to live with AI. How can a data analytics professional or a person starting at, how can you learn to live with AI? How can you and integrate the AI in you to ensure, or how can you be AI proficient without having to go deep into AI as you and Nikabed, so that you still remain relevant in the changes that we're facing? And what do you envision will be the next steps, or what is the future of data and AI like in the future, especially within Africa and the Kenyan scope?
Okay, so in terms of how one can adapt, well, first is just to try and understand the different aspects of data analysis that AI is or can do. It can automate some tasks. So what tasks are those? People are saying maybe there's it can do data cleaning, or those tasks that are very, you yourself don't like to do.
Yes.
Can you also give, of course, in a supervisory manner, AI to do that for you, and then
Yes.
it opens you up to now more skills that you can learn. Now that you're not doing this data cleaning that was taking you 10 hours, you can now focus maybe on trying to generate better insights, trying to understand better insights from your data. So so basically it's just using AI as a tool to help you be better at your work. And I say that with a pinch of salt, in that it's not that you're just telling it do this and you're not looking at what it's doing. You have to look at what it's doing, how it's the answers it's giving you, is it correct? I mean, because these things are known to hallucinate and give answers that are not, they sound very correct because of the language they're using, but they're not actually really correct. So you also have to stay on top of that, on the current shortcomings of these tools. But then it opens you up to now do other things that maybe you might not have found time to do, which is like focusing on insights of the data, trying to find better actions based on your experience on the problem at hand. In terms of how AI can be used, will be used in future, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in this area. And one I think that is relevant for Africa would be in the data generation and data synthesis space, for example, in healthcare, whereby we don't have good quality healthcare data. From these hospitals, our records are always manual. We don't have images from machines that are capturing patient information, or we have even situations whereby these data regulation rules whereby there's some data you should not share. So, but then we still need to build AI tools. We still need to build machine learning systems. So can AI generate for us data that is close to the actual data, and can we use that to now improve performance on what the systems that we are building? So I think that would be a very key thing, especially in Africa, and even in the just the natural language interaction with these AI tools. There's an opportunity to expand that to African languages, and if we can be able to incorporate these African languages into such systems, we are able to deploy these systems even in the remote or rural places, whereby not most of the communications speak English. They don't really understand English, but if they have a system that is catered to their language, they're able to interact with and use it to better their lives. I think those would be the two major things. There's obviously more, but those are the two major things that I can think of at the moment.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for that input, and for sure, the AI space is likely. And maybe to the attendees, I think Tanya has told us secrets of avenues to expand our scope. That is data synthesis, and also making it maybe having an AI model that you can interact with, even using Shembeteng and Kimeru and Kisi. Anyway, to Dennis, how cool is data analytics? And do you think data science and data analytics is can I say I'm cool? Like, is it a likable profession? Because I think especially the fuss about it, especially from Gen Z, is about it being cool and making money. Is that the avenue, and is that the approach and intention one should come to the data space with? Dennis?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think, I would say it's cool. Yeah, I think once I tell people I solve problems using data, they are very intrigued, and of course it's how you put it. So when I'm trying to sell it out, I just tell people, yeah, I solve problems, give me your data, and then I try to see patterns, inconsistencies, anomalies, and I believe it's cool. I enjoy it. Sometimes I try to do even, projects that are outside the scope of, my work, like trying to, I try to use some football data. I am a huge football fan. So, trying to, add some bit of my football knowledge in the data, analysis field, and I was able to get some interesting insights on my own. So I would say it's cool. I really like it. It's fun to do, and there's so much satisfaction when you see you've been able to uncover something that people did not really know about, and so which brings insight, helping in making decisions, and leads maybe a company into the right direction. So I like it. I can't complain, and I believe most of the people will say so. So I think it's cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And also, Dennis, do you think one should come to the data analytics space with the hope of making money, or there's more inspiration, or there's more to doing that than about the money?
Pesa muhimu. But of course, you can't get the money without providing what you are being paid for. So just I think focus on solving problems, and then the money will follow you.
Yes.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yes. And now, before we open the floor for questions, maybe one last input from the three panelists. What one word of advice would you have for anyone planning to enter into this space? What advice would you give them? And I think we'll start with you, Dennis. Then we go to Nikabed, and lastly Tanya, in that order. Dennis?
Yeah. I think there is a notion that I think the first one is what we were discussing about before, the AI issue. And I believe even before we get to what Nikabet was saying, I think someone who is working in AI is more likely to take your job rather than, AI itself. So it's about fast bracing yourself, and knowing how to use these tools to your advantage.
Yes.
The second thing is, I would say there are a lot of opportunities, not even inside the country, even outside the country, even in the globe. If you would put, for example, an alert on LinkedIn about data science, maybe data analytics, maybe Power BI developer, I'm telling you, you'll get a lot of job opportunities that are out there. And
Yes.
so I'm just trying to explain that this notion that there are no jobs in data, there is. You can work remotely, you can work in a company here in Kenya. You can get opportunities from very many places. You can also, freelance. And I remember that we also had a talk about freelancing some time back. So there's a lot to do in data, yeah, and a lot of data has not been uncovered yet. Data is continuing to grow, and so it's high time we continue, even helping the communities and, bringing more people into the data spectrum so that they can be able to utilize everything that, is coming up into the data sort of space. And so just an encouragement to people who are pursuing this, that give it all your best, and I'm sure create a portfolio, make noise about your work. I try to do so. So I have been transitioning into data engineering and learning cloud, and I've been making a lot of noise on Twitter, and of course without a lot of traction at first. But today I failed to post because I post between 7 and 8 in the morning. Did not post in the morning, and so someone reached out and told me, you never posted, and so someone would think that no one sees what you do, no one sees that blog, no one sees even videos, but a lot of people, are able to view what you do. And so there's a lot to achieve in this data space. So let's continuing, and yeah, we'll get there. Thanks.
Nikabed?
Well, so there's this quote I was looking for, and it goes like this. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and relearn. Well, just a simple explanation to this is, what is unlearning? What does this mean? So this means that there's something that you learned maybe a few days ago. Let's put it a few months ago, a few years ago, right? But now it's kind of outdated information. So you have to know what to unlearn and what to, learn and relearn. So where do we learn these things? One thing is tech communities, because we are all in this, and I believe this is the best space for us to learn. Yeah. Also social media, but from my favorite aspect, I always say is read books. Like for me, I read books like Singularity for me to understand the human design aspect for AI. I mean, how is this thing going to happen in future, right? So you can see where it's going, where it is. So like my final thing I would like to recommend is to anybody here is there's a book that is very interesting from if you want to understand more deep about AI and everything, but this is about superpowers. So it's AI Superpowers and the New World Order by Kai Fu Lee. So he's like my mentor in the aspect of AI. He's an AI scientist. You should go and check it. It's like an amazing book, yeah, and you'll learn a lot from aspects of your career, how AI might be able to overtake it, and how you can relearn the art aspect. Yeah, that's would be my final take.
Wow, thank you so much, Nikabed. Unlearn, relearn. Okay, unlearn, relearn, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Tanya, what's your input?
Yeah, I think the other speakers have shared bulk of what I would have added. But maybe another thing that I can think of right now would be to build, your soft skills, communication skills, because data, you need to be able to explain your work, or or what you're working on to other people, and you can do this through either sharing your knowledge on social media, or attending these tech events, and through that you network with other people. So you need to be able to communicate with these other people in the space, and from that you may be able to get a new job, you may be able to get opportunities just from talking with people, and also just staying up to date with the trends in the field. I mean, there's news every day of new things, new tools coming out. So being on top of that and always thinking how this new thing, you can adapt to it or you can use it for your own work, just to be able, it also shows like your ability to adapt and to learn, learn new things or relearn the way other things that have been done before. So yeah, I think that's what I can add on to that.
Thank you so much, and I think I would like to open this floor for questions. I'm trying to look at the Q&A section. I think no questions raised yet. Maybe Susie, are there any questions on your end? Or is there anyone raising their hand? I'm not able to see from my end.
Yeah, yes, there are questions.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start with the first one. Is saying, anybody here who's in the data analytics field and they never had a background in statistics or anything related to it? How was your journey and what is your advice on those starting out?
Tanya?
Yeah, I think we touched on that during the webinar. We did to talk about there's different paths that you can do. So you can either do the academic route of going to school for a higher degree to learn about statistics and data analytics, or you can do these certifications that also include an understanding of statistics and the background that you would need for data analytics. But on top of it is to be able to learn that and apply that, have something to show. So to show for what you have learned. So if you don't want to do the academic route of going back to school, you can just do some certifications and make sure that you're able to tie that down to real world applications.
Thanks for that. So the next question is, do you find that employers, especially in Kenya, respect this field the way they should? That is, you as a practitioner and also in the field of data science.
Dennis?
Dennis or Derek?
Yeah, Derek.
Derek.
That's a tricky one. I don't know who's from my organization here, but yeah, of course, okay. Speaking for myself, I believe there is a lot of respect to data and data analytics and the data people who interact with data, especially from a day-to-day basis. And of course, most companies at the moment, even in Kenya, are trying, to be data-driven. So trying to make decisions out of data, not basing on intuition or mere guesses. That's what was happening before. People will just use what they think, what they have heard of, but now people are, circling down to their data and being able to see where are we, where do we want to go, and using that in data in predictions and stuff. So from where I sit, I would say yes. There is a lot of respect for data and the data practitioners, but for places where I have heard, I believe that culture has not yet been inculcated. It's still a work in progress, but I believe as the world is going in the direction that it's taking, this is something that you cannot ignore. Ignoring data will be at your own peril. So I believe in the coming years, people are continuing to, actively accept data is the right way to go to make decisions and help in driving their companies forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Susie.
All right, someone is asking, please let me know the second book, please, besides AI Superpowers.
Likabed.
Yeah. I think the second book would have been Singularity by Ray Kurzweil. Yeah, there's that. Also, I'll think of the other two. The Singularity, Ray Kurzweil. How to Create a Mind, Ray Kurzweil still. And the other one is AI 2040 by still Kai-Fu Lee. So they're just more of these are scientists who have written this book. So and they are in the field of AI so much. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Susie.
All right. Let's see. This one for career progression, like for each of you, I think we covered that. So someone is saying they have a degree in business analytics. I didn't learn anything. Honestly, I don't know SQL, Power BI, or Tableau. So my question is, are only certifications going to help me land jobs? I think we covered that. We said projects. Secondly, are there remote jobs out there? Because I feel like they are getting extinct. I want to start with an internship, but I wasn't able to get one, even an unpaid one. I'm from Pakistan. What should I do? What should I learn first?
Tanya.
Yeah, so first, I think one of the other panelists mentioned that LinkedIn, there's a lot of jobs at junior positions. I mean, you can just put, I don't know if you know about LinkedIn alerts, but you can create an alert for LinkedIn to notify you every time there's a new job in a specific field. So you can be able to say the keywords are, if a job is looking for data analytics, data science, or machine learning, send an alert for me. And I mean, every day I get hundreds of options. It always tells me, here are your alerts, like you're able to apply for them. And it also tailors to like your LinkedIn profile, like here are some jobs that where you would be a top candidate, or you'd be in the top % or something. Another way that you can be able to get jobs or internships is through networking. When you're going to in these events in the technical community, you'll be able to meet up with recruiters or people who are looking for interns. They're looking for bright minds that they can hire, and also just from the interviews that you've done, you're able to learn the gaps that you have. So you could have done an interview and they had wanted SQL skills, but you are not able to pass it because you didn't know SQL. So that's an action point for you to know SQL, because now this is something that recruiters are asking for. So interview itself, like failed interviews, they're not really failed, but they're actually learning points from you to be able to understand what gap do I have compared to what skills the industry is looking for, and then how can I upskill myself to be better prepared for other opportunities. So again, do projects. I mean, projects is it's if you don't really have work experience, projects are the only way that you can show that you've said Python. Okay, where can I see your work? You have GitHub projects that have done Python or whichever other SQL or whatever, but these are things that you can showcase. So yeah, so those are the things that I'll focus on: networking, understanding the gaps from previous interviews or even just from job descriptions, setting alerts from LinkedIn, and projects to showcase your work.
And maybe Tanya, another question I would ask is, what about those people? Let's say you intern at a particular organization and you've done quite a portfolio of projects, but you see now their client work, you can really show them as experience. How do you move around? How would you deal with such a situation?
So for that, in that situation, you can still be able to show that as part of the work you've done in your CV. That's what the CV is for. The CV, when you're putting in your work experience, you're not just putting the tasks that you did in a company, you're putting the contributions that you did in the company. So for example, in a project, if you developed a database by yourself and you can be able, you explain, use those action verbs, like I developed a database for this project. So you're not really sharing the code, but from that CV, they are able to see, okay, oh, they're in this company, and if a recruiter knows someone there, they can call, oh, we're having this person, they say that they worked at their company and they did this. And so someone in that company can say, okay, yeah, we did work with him. He or she was very good in this way, and definitely would recommend them. So for the projects you're not able to showcase the actual code, talk about it in your CV and talk about it in a way where you highlight your own contributions to that project.
Okay, thank you, Susie.
Oh, okay. So the career progression is the person wants to know what's next. What is the next role that you'd like to have after the one that you have now? What are you eyeing?
Okay. Dennis and Nikabed, maybe we can touch on that. Dennis, sorry, Derek, I'm sorry, Derek.
Sorry, maybe you can repeat the question.
The question was, okay.
The question was, what is the career progression like for you? Like, you're a data analyst now. What do you think is next for you? Or where would you like to be next? Probably in your next
okay,
role.
okay. Yeah, I get it. So probably I'm thinking of upskilling. So as I said, as I mentioned, I will be I sort of transitioned into data engineering. So I'm learning about Azure Data Factory. It's something that has started to be used quite widely at our place. So yeah, I'm learning data engineering. So and it comes up especially in most jobs where you find now after doing something for a long time, especially data analysis, you'll be finding yourself either in doing ML or something else different. So for me, I'll be taking up data engineering, yeah, and probably also thinking to do certifications around that. Yeah.
Nikabed?
So for me, as on my end, I think more I'm transitioning to more of a C-suite level, which means that now I have the grasp of the engineering aspect as a junior or senior, and now I'm more to the C-suite where like I grasp both the engineering aspect and the business acumen of it, and compose all of it and make a better decision. That's like where I'm heading to. Yeah.
Amazing. And Tanya, do you want to be a researcher, or do you have another progression ahead?
So yeah, there are multiple paths for me. Basically, one of them would be moving on to more senior positions in, ML, becoming a senior ML, not ML engineer, or a lead ML engineer, whereby I'm in charge of thinking about the technical aspects of a specific project and how that provides business value in terms of being cheap to implement and being robust and still with the standard. But what I'm leaning more is, into becoming a fully fledged researcher. I would like to go into industrial research, companies like the one I'm in, IBM or Google Research or Microsoft Research, companies that connect the academia side to industry or real world application. So because there's usually that disconnect between, okay, so there's always papers published about all these new tools. the Google search engine was out of a PhD project, and they were able to bring it into a real world use. Same with ChatGPT. It was a paper, and then someone made it into a real life product. So that's what I want to focus on. And for that one, to be a leader in the space, to be a thought leader in the space, I have to be a researcher in a specific niche. So probably do my PhD and then lead some research group or become a research director, and then now become that bridge between what all these cool things that are being implemented in academic and how we bring them to the business side.
Susie, we can take another maybe 1 or 2 questions.
Okay, so there's someone here who's saying, what would you advise someone who has learned those skills such as Excel, SQL, Tableau, and R, but feels inadequate? I'm currently doing my first project and trying to get internships, but it's proving difficult to get one.
Derek?
I would say you are the right path, and that usually happens. But I believe as you continue in your job searching, also just continue upskilling. As we said, the learning is continuous, and so just continue upskilling. As we had said before, networking, getting a very nice portfolio where you can be able to show your work. Being part of a community, listening to what other skilled people are saying, and in that sort of space, you'll just find something will come up for you. It happens, but I believe as you continue to grow, you will get somewhere where you feel you totally fit. And as we said, the opportunities are there. Continue applying. The rejections will be there at times, but your time will come where you get a job that you are completely comfortable. So it's part of the process, and you will make it through. Yeah.
Tanya and Inika, but before I invite maybe Susie to ask the last question, do you think this job will ever become flooded, the data space? Do you think we'll have, or how competitive can it get before the jobs now become, or there are no more jobs?
Okay, maybe I can go first. Yes. I don't think that the job market can be flooded here, especially in Africa. Like, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a huge shortage of talent in this space, and so a lot of everyone is trying to come and tap into the African market. All these international companies are coming tap into the African market, but when they come here, they find that they cannot find talent. So there's always going to be a shortage, at least for the next decade or even more. There's always going to be a shortage, and so more people are needed in the space to be able to take up these jobs and opportunities that are coming. And even as the new trends are going, there's always new things that are happening, new opportunities created. So I don't think it will reach a point where we are full. Even something like teaching, we still never have enough teachers, even though so many, people have been teaching for centuries, but there's never a time where you can say you have enough people. It's always going to be needed.
Susie, you can ask the last question.
So are there employers hiring entry-level data analysts without experience, just with certifications and projects?
Nikabed, maybe you can answer that.
Okay, that's a tricky one. Yeah, but one thing I've seen, and this is something I've experienced when I was still trying to get into the job industry.
Yes.
For me, I've found it doesn't matter sometimes even the certificates you have. It matters with whatever work you can show, whatever you say. If I say in Nikabed, I can build a model. If I can, or if I can show a way I've done that before, it's always possible, because I've I've had friends who like still have those big paying salary, careers, and some of them actually never finished their degree, their bachelor's, but they're earning actually more than me. And it's very interesting, but it's because they were more committed to whatever they were doing, right? So if their companies will always look, for me, always say with one thing, being a Christian, God number one, two, believe in yourself, number three, connections will help. Yeah, so because this I think it's Steven Spielberg, like the biggest director of movies in Hollywood. He said sometimes you might be very talented, you might be, with that every aspect you get, but you need that inside man sometimes. And that is it for me. Always keep working hard, and companies which they will be able to, be, is it hunt you, yeah, headhunters, they will always be able to see you sometimes. Yeah, I've seen that. That's from my experience. So they are always, but for now I don't have I'm not sure if I know any that's hiring. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikabed. Thank you so much, Tanya, and also thank you so much, Derek. That was quite a very insightful, engaging, and worth our time conversation. And I hope I wish we had more time. But for now, and also to the audience and the attendees, thank you so much for attending, those who've asked questions. But for now, I'd like to invite Frida for a vote of thanks, and also maybe to close the webinar. And so sorry for the overlap, for the extra minutes you've taken, but I'm sure for sure it's for a good cause. Thank you so much. I was your host, and my name is Vincent. Pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Frida. I just want to extend a vote of thanks first to our panelists, Tanya, Nikabed, and Derek. We thank you so much for making the time this evening to share your insights and your experiences. I think it was a personal touch that we all needed, just to understand, what are your typical days, how you got into this space, and any kind of advice that you had for us. So we thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I hope all of us here learned a thing or two. We just wanted to demystify what it takes to get into this field and what it entails on a day-to-day basis. And we've gotten a lot of advice on, the differences between AI and data analytics. Is it true you can do a course in one day and you are ready? How can you package yourself on LinkedIn? How can you, sell yourself as in a networking opportunity? So all those things, I hope we got to learn a thing or two. And just to echo even what Tanya said about Africa, there's a lot of interest that is coming into Africa, and it has already started. And this is because Africa is really, really growing, and it's even estimated by 2030 it will be the largest economy in the world. And just to bring it into perspective, China is the largest right now, and we know, it's the region with the highest population, but Africa is really coming there. And so what we are seeing a lot is a lot of companies having a lot of interest in Africa, because now they are starting to think about setting base here in Africa, because we are having a large increase of consumers. So that just speaks to, the amount of opportunities that have started to come and how many are even about to come. So I think if you're thinking about to get into this space, I think it's the right time. So just learn, relearn, and just have an open mind on how to build your skills and to build your portfolio. And then, opportunities will come. I also want to thank Vincent for being our MC this evening, for moderating the session and keeping it engaging. And we also definitely want to thank our attendees. It would not have been a fruitful session without each and every one of you. So we thank you for attending. This is the second of many. And so we thank you for attending and look out for more. Thank you for this evening, and I hope you're able to even share what you've learned with others. That's all. Thank you for today. Okay, I think we can end it now, unless anyone has anything to say, I think we can end it there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.